But we have extensive talks and session perspectives on remote sensing of atmosphere, where we try to understand the atmosphere using different types of remote sensing techniques, be it data or instrumentation and some principles. This talk is something, though it is part of it, a slightly different orientation in the sense we now look at the atmosphere as a problem, not as the objective to study. So, how to do away with the atmosphere when we like to have the remote sensing of land? So, when we like to look at the surface phenomenon and the different aspects of surface, atmosphere is one thing which is in between this source of radiation as well as the object. So it gets to us to the problem where we need to find ways of dealing with the atmosphere as a problem. So for us, the perspective is how to avoid this atmospheric influence or how to make sure that there is no trace of atmosphere when we look at the remote sensing of land. So, and what are the present perspectives and how it usually goes. So, I like to speak on most of these things. General, why do we do remote sensing of land? We can have a lot of things. It can be a kind of mapping. You like to have different kind of map prepared, or that included mapping, detection, monitoring, any kind of thing. And this can also be part of measuring, let us say, some kind of physical parameters estimation that include geophysical parameters, biophysical parameters, or any such parameters of interest which are mainly of surface object related. And we also like to do certain kind of strategic applications which can be target detection or mineral detection or anything that is an object of interest. So if you like to do, and also you have a lot of things in the sense many times what happens is that depending upon the resolution of the sensor that you use, it is not necessary that your object will be of that big, and many times your object will be of invisible, in fact a small fraction of it. So you like to have a fractional mapping of all of them. So many kind of remote sensing analysis are there for land remote sensing or land. In most of these scenarios, most of the kind of works that you like to carry, if you are using optical data, to some extent even microwave data, you have been forced to look at the atmosphere and find out a way to deal with it. So our sensing is how to do this kind of atmosphere and make an entity which we can subtract for remote sensing data, and finally look at the signature of surface object which are interesting to us. As we have seen extensive works already in this particular FDP, so I'll be going very brief about the thing. Most of this involvement comes from the radiator transfer process. So while we like to have this radiation measured from the surface, in the sense the radiation reflected from the surface is of interest to us, because that is the parameter that makes us to be the basic ingredient for any kind of this atmospheric thing. So we like to estimate unambiguously the surface signal of object as seen from the satellite. So as you can see, different principles, different aspects are involved, which actually make all our satellite recorded signal, which is the radiant signal as of now on top of the atmosphere, correct. So when you like to study anything related to the surface objects, you are dealing with atmosphere signal which is imprinted in your radiant signal as object. So you have to find out a way to subtract the influence of the atmosphere from the radiant signal of your object that is recorded by a satellite. So most of these processes that we call atmospheric correction of remote sensing data involves to deal with this kind of thing, where you like to estimate the radiance recorded with sensor which is only of the object, and finally retrieve the surface reflectance parameter of the object, because that is the physical parameter which gives you the ability to map, model, and predict anything. Then, depending upon the models, I'm now straightforward jumping into the atmospheric correction models. In general, there are so many different ways of this atmospheric correction of remote sensing data. Some of them are, I'm sorry, I assume that some familiar with remote sensing, that's why I jumped into this thing. We can categorize the existing atmospheric correction models, which are used for retrieving this land surface reflectance, okay, two times in this in two categories. One is some sort of empirical and ad hoc based. For example, starting from the primitive dark object subtraction, you have got flat field, quick atmospheric correction, even histogram minimum, and even a kind of calibration based techniques such as empirical line calibration methods, where you would be deriving the correction factors required from the data itself. So other than the empirical line calibration, you are going to use certain kind of instituted data. Most of these empirical methods use the image as the source of these distortion factors for atmosphere and subtract the component of atmosphere from the image itself and work out the image as if it is corrected. So that is a you call empirical method, and we call that ad hoc. In the sense, it works for a few sets of images, but when you remote sensor data are of spatial temporal over a large extent, these techniques won't be suitable, nor they make any sense. So obviously, the most common approach of correcting for it is radiative transfer based methods, which would model the signal transmission and object interaction, and finally lets us to invert the radiance signal of the object as it is recorded in the satellite, and then inverting for surface reflectance if we know a reference signature, reference energy model. So that is what we call radio transformative thing. And we would see that there are good number of models of this kind of thing that you consider, let us say, motor based, moderate transmission based thing, and flash at cost. So many different kind of implementations of the thing are there, and also a kind of open source radiative transfer theory that started from 2 years until 6 years. So simulation of satellite signal solar spectrum. A lot of things are there, and similarly, these radiative transfer models are very accurate, but accurate in the sense considering the data that you give input, because every radiator transfer model requires certain kind of data to solve the equation. So lot of parameters are to be there, and depending upon the type and quality of your data, relevance of your data, you get to estimate good parameters of these atmosphere influences on the remote sensor data. But computationally, they are not as simple as deriving this in flat field correction. They're very expensive, and financially also. The reason is that most of them are patented and commercially sold as part of add-on. So you'll be buying them and using them based on licenses. So it's an expensive process. One example of this thing is that, for example, while this is a global model, in the sense, same kind of atmospheric correction model can be used by anybody across world, and there those support is there for so many kinds of sensors. The major thing that comes into this global model is that what kind of atmosphere model, because this radio transfer model based things require you to assume certain kind of atmosphere model and aerosol type or aerosol model, and then based on those kind of selections of your models, they usually derive the correction factor required for you to estimate the radius of the object. But you know, this atmosphere model is not a single word. You can have hundreds of thousands of them depending upon the location, depending upon the season, latitude, all such kind of thing. So if you see most of the global models, you have got a selection of models such as subarctic winter, mid latitude, US standard, or this kind of thing, and tropical. let us say if you like to see all the tropical which comes into India comes into subtropical to subtropical, and you can find that the word tropical is no synonym to a country or a part of it, but your atmosphere model that is applied to most of the global radiator transfer models are as broad as few continents kind of thing. And also the aerosol model that you assume. So rural, urban, let us say tropospheric and maritime. So these are the scenarios that are considered to derive this kind of models. So in effect, you are going to select what kind of data that you like to correct for the activation parameters and atmospheric modeling and kind of aerosol thing. So if you supply these kind of parameters, all these global atmosphere models correct for any kind of atmospheric inferences, and finally estimate the surface reflectance, which is a product, a base product for you to do any kind of remote sensing of land. Can be prediction or mapping or abundance or tracking anything. Now we understand that it is no easy job to say to put one country in any of these kind of models. If you consider India, it itself by area and climate, we have several. So you find that none of them actually fit it. If you like to have a quality kind of atmospheric correction retrievals, so that your image is very accurate and you like to estimate certain kind of physical parameters. So this calls for regionalization of this atmospheric correction modeling, in the sense there should be a modeling approach such that you can have a regional data input and characterization of parameter which are very specific to those kind of things. For example, Himalayan, arid, tropical, subtropical, all such kind of things. We do have several. So if you like to characterize, these are the some of these atmosphere models, then the data pertaining to those kind of regions would be much more appropriate to correct for. And also we know that so many of these aerosols and their seasonal variations are quite high. You cannot have aerosol variations of America, for example, Antarctica to use for atmospheric correction of India or Pakistan or any other country. So the variations are so huge that if you like to have certain quality parameter retrieval from remote sensing data at very finer resolution, I'm not talking about global thing. If you say temperature retrieval at 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer, there is no such kind of problem. But if you like to say temperature retrieval at 50 meter, there is a case. So these are the cases where you get these kind of things. If you see the internal view of any remote sensing data, which is being this radiator transfer model, you will have these kind of things: geometric conditions, atmospheric conditions, and the kind of aerosols that you can, because this is the very dynamic condition of atmosphere. So then you like to see these are the factors which are going into the body of your radiator transfer model, and finally you are going to get output as reflectance based on the combinations and the computations of these many number of parameters which are internal part of any radiator transfer model. So how we are going to supply the data and characterize these geometric conditions, both sun and sensor, atmospheric conditions, aerosol types. So based on the kind of data that you supply, the models are being solved and you get your radiator transfer model giving you an output which is surface reflectance and even other parameters as well. So we know that if you are giving different types of data, your output will be obviously a different kind of thing. And for example, if you see this, one example of how do we do with the geometric condition, let us say surface parameters and view parameters, zenith, so view zenith, solar zenith, day, month, everything that you can find it as a way of characterizing the geometrical outlook of sun and your object geometry. And as it varies by different sensor, so obviously you would be requiring to characterize the geometrical aspects of your source, that is sun, if it is optical remote sensing, and the surface, so that is your target. And as a different view, that means different sensors. So source, sensor, object. These geometry have to be very precisely characterized if you like to have your models estimated to be of very fine. And similarly, atmospheric conditions. You can see that there are so many parameters which would be requiring to be a thing. Pressure at different altitude, temperature different altitude, water vapor, ozone. So they're all to be inferred at different altitude from surface. So the source and the nature of your data determines you the kind of modeling parameter that you get as the solution from this radiative transfer theory. And finally, you are going to also model some of these dynamic parameters as aerosol models. And depending upon the data that you have, a source of it, you can find out that very standard model, theoretically solved and theoretically simulated values of aerosols, which can finally give you some model, until to the very way of making your own model, wherein you get your data from instruments perhaps from different locations that you can find, and supply those kind of data to the models, which finally, these are the different models which finally give you the correction factors. And if these are input into your atmospheric concerned module of the radiator transfer theory, finally you get to have surface reflectance, which is as at par with your modeling parameter. So the parameters that you consider. So that requires to note that atmospheric correction is not a stable global phenomenon. One has to have the ability to correct for based on sensor, based on the country, based on the season, and based on transient responses. So these are the things which force us to think regional while being global model being used. So in those conditions, if you see some of these literature facts, if you see that AOD, we have been hearing a lot about the AOD. As you can see that across India, you find it how much it varies. So even carbon monoxide mixing ratio, it varies by space and time. So when you can find it, if you are going to retrieve any kind of geophysical parameters, which included temperatures or any kind of thing for local to global studies, you find that there is a case where you cannot approximate entire global perceptions on a regional level. So variation is so huge. And similarly, if you see this, the kind of differences of these, let us say, reflectance, you find it when you use two different sources of your aerosol optical depth into the model. As you can see, and if it is the difference between Aeronet data and the standard profile of global, and if it is urban, you find the difference is more than 50% at many places, or you can say at least more than 20% dominantly of the urban. And you would find that even in the case of other things also, differences are substantial. So it tends to think that the models that we think of global level are actually a misery if you like to have your results to be computed at a finer spatial resolution and for different kind of environments, be it urban or let's say can be rural or vegetative structures or let's say a hilly terrain. So this is quite different thing. So how to do the way they think? For example, we find that, for example, if you take only this water vapor, if you find the difference between standard profile of this water vapor that is used in a global model of atmospheric correction to a regional model, you see that the difference is so substantial here at about 5 kilometers of the thing. You find that it's really so much of simplification. Similarly, temperature as well. Somewhere you find that the standard profiles of global level models oversimplify and they don't consider the variations which are very specific in regional way. In the sense, regional does not mean that it is district or state, but even let us say if entire climate zones of India, you will have some 3 to 4 which are prominent. So at those levels we are talking about. So considering some of these factors, which would be key for most of these precision remote sensing of land surface, we developed one model where this atmospheric correction model, which is regional at the same time, global perspective can also be satisfied. So for that, we made a kind of architecture which composed of different parameters of this atmosphere and geometry and the dynamic parameters of atmosphere, which are, let's say, different aerosol models, and also the platform altitude and target, in the sense dynamics of sensor with respect to the very precision surface object level. So considering these are the parameters which we thought of important to play at the regional level or regionalization of the global level, and find out a model which would do this remote sensing of land surface and atmospheric collection, which is precise. So this is the computational perspective that we have made it, and the parameters are solved at very finer resolution of even at let's say about 1 nanometer in the spectral, and at so many things. So this is the computation approach that we followed, and this is the screenshot of the front view of this correction model, where you find that akin to the global advanced correction model, we have regionalized it. So in addition to the global models, which are standard part of any advanced correction module of remote sensing, we made few specific to Indian, which are based on the data collected across several places in India, and with a profile of first 100 kilometers. So from surface to 100 kilometers at different intervals of altitude, we capture data pertaining to temperature, pressure, ozone, and water vapor, and filing them to a model which is much more responsive to the regional level. At the same time, you can also have selection of the global level thing. And similarly, we find out the kind of aerosol profiles that are akin to this regional thing. And some of these regional results are something like this, where we try to compare the performance of this model across sensors like that. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Is it audible, sir?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the kind of performance model that we made it for comparing the results of our model that we call FACT. FACT is nothing but, 1 second please. Sorry. Flexible atmospheric correction compensation technique. So we compared with the models of NASA and other popular models, seeing how this works well, and finding out quantitatively what is the similarity and what is the difference where we can find it out. And we also applied on different images, both hyperspectral and multispectral, and tried to find out what is the error budget. The question of error is something like subjective, in the sense absolute nobody knows. So when you take some global models as something standard, so how precise is your correction to offer similar kind of performance considering the conditions which you maintain same? So when we consider that, we find out that about 3% is the disagreement. It can be positive or negative because nobody knows what is correct. So considering the absolute figures, it is close to that thing wherein you find that the model is performing almost as expected in a global level when you supply the same global data. And we also try to find out if this model performs something like at the level of a prediction. Let us say if it is a reflectance, and find it out how it works well. So both with the commercial global level and another NASA's model and our developed thing for one, let's say, set of sensors. One is airborne hyperspectral image and another one is Landsat. So you find that most of them actually matching. So if you like to give you a summary of this fact, the model which is to be regional ID is an important consideration. The reason is that most of the parameters are very dynamic and they influence your remote sensing signal in such a way that either your predictions are going to be fault or your mapping going to be wrong. So unless otherwise you take care of these kind of things, if you are going for results which are at finer resolution does not mean 7 kilometers. Let's say even at the resolution of 500 meters, you find that the atmosphere is a dominant player. So you find it so many problems, and we find that our regionalization model, that what we call factor 2, is something which is very close to the global level model when you compare with global to global. At the same time, it gives you the ability of retrieving atmosphere surface reflectances and removing that regionalized level of atmosphere from the remote sense signal. Thereby, your ability to perform different kind of retrievals from remote sensing data for lands is quite high. And I like to demonstrate two examples in the sense, in fact, one example which is direct evidence of atmospheric corrections, and one application is this. For example, if I like to find out a remote sensing system wherein if I have some target whose spectral signature is known to me and I like to find it out in a remote sensing image. So if I like to fly a drone or aircraft or a satellite to the data source, then if I'm looking at only for the mapping of only one type of material, which I call target, what is the kind of nature that is going to be dictated by this atmosphere? Am I going to find out a different result each time if the target is at different places despite same target, or the same target at different date? So am I going to be finding out that the results would be quite different if you have the same target but different sensors, different dates, or different locations? So if that is such kind of thing, what is the influence of this atmosphere for finding a material of interest? For example, that can be, in our case, we tried with from military point of view. So find it out if the atmosphere influences, as we like to track the target from different places or different times. And before the from literature, you would find that there are just one example of literature of this atmosphere influence on remote sensing of land. Somebody tried to find it out the difference of atmosphere correction for image classification, so land cover classification, and different models. So here you can see all these models, DOS, DOS, there are different models of atmosphere, okay, correction. As you can find that the results are drastic, the sense different. Though at the overall view you find that they are similar, but when you look at the pixel level, you find that they are substantially different, indicating that at the operational level, atmosphere actually exerts sufficient effect such that even the mapping gets wrong or mapping gets affected by this atmosphere. So you need to find it out that for any operational kind of product, atmosphere influences have to be modeled such that you need to consider the regional importance of the atmosphere that is there. You cannot assume the global atmosphere and correct for every image. And we just, as I mentioned, try to test the importance of this atmosphere, or you can influence of the atmosphere for finding a target of interest from different targets, in fact, and from let's say different platform. For example, if the source of data, let's say ground, if it is an airborne, if it is satellite. So how do these atmosphere influences change the results of your target detection from different platforms and also from different kinds of targets? So that is one application where we have implemented as a direct result of developing this regional sensitive atmosphere correction model. For that, our experimental setup was something like this: is area somewhat around Ooty, and the imaging was done using Everest NG hyperspectral imaging thing in 2018. And we have at different places we actually spread targets as a different kind of cloths and other kind of materials which are of about 10 by 10 meter size. And the same days, almost within 1 hour after we laid out these targets, airborne hyperspectral imaging and even space-borne sentinel image were also taken. And of course, we have got ground-based hyperspectral data also. Now, once we have got these things, we try to simulate the influence of the atmosphere under different conditions. For example, if the atmosphere is something like this, what is going to happen to this kind of target detection? Are we able to still find them, or the results are going to be drastic? So some of those questions have been addressed in the kind of experimental setup. So for you can see just one startup, that's comparing this ground-based data versus image data. As you can see, the precise let's say surface reflectance is one thing that you can find out.
Sir, please unmute.
It's automatically going, yeah. So is it okay now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is okay.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Now, as you can see, the ground is the one which is in situ reflectance measurement. So precise time measurement, and the solid one is the image thing. As you can see, for the same target at the almost same time, actually the difference between satellite and ground is only 1 hour. You can find that the difference of speckle pattern is quite high. And if you see when that is a kind of multispectral data, you find even the patterns are quite different. As you can see, there is quite different patterns. So what do these kind of observation tell is that in between material is not changing, material is not a dynamic, so it is static, a stable clock. And same day. So atmosphere won't be that much, let's say, we can say modeling level of change. So the factors that we actually make you and see this reflectance features changing are the one which are dynamic components of atmosphere. So those are the ones which actually change your atmospheric reflectance influences, even if the difference of data acquisition is order of few hours. So, which requires us to note that there is a lot of gap in this area. And we made a kind of scenario where both forward and inverse modeling was done, such that the reflectance, surface reflectance from different perspective of atmosphere has been simulated using the same model that we have developed. And we find out different scenarios of the atmosphere. For example, as you can see, this is the structure that we have used. So if you get the remote sensing reflectance signature from ground, then this is the atmosphere processor that we developed as part of it. So you can actually generate quite different types of reflectance data as a function of different states of atmosphere. And then you can compare the image data that is there with the sensor. So where you find it matching and where it actually finds differences are to be quantitatively evaluated. That we did using different kind of things. So as you can see, we changed the areas of optical depth for different kinds of visibility, clear atmosphere, partially cloudy and very dense atmosphere, and different kind of atmospheric models, and finally finding out how do the results influence the detection as a whole. So as you can see, some of these parameters which included variations, for example, reflectance on the radiance as a function of altitude. So if you are keeping your airborne sensor at different altitude, okay, then you can see how do these reflectance or radiance signature. It can be radiance signature as it is measured the sensor, how it varies. And the red one is the reference, so that is the ground level radiance level, and the other things are at different altitude. Similarly, if it is different levels of water vapor, as you can see, if you vary at different levels of water vapor, your radiance signal is again going to be changing. And similarly, at different types of AOTs, and also the overall atmosphere model itself. If you find the same signal, but under different compositions of atmosphere and the model, you find that your radiance spectrum is altogether a different theme. So if these kind of differences are there, you find that the results of your modeling. So in this particular example case, we try to target detection. In the sense, detecting the material of interest in an image automatically. That's what we call target detection. If we tried with different kind of target detection algorithm, you find that the results are drastic. So you see that the target detection is widely and variably influenced by the atmosphere, as you can see different kinds of targets. Some targets are little more stable and some of them are drastically different, indicating that atmosphere is an important composition, the sense parameter which influences detections in any kind of high resolution data, and operational level product is always to be benchmarked against the regional atmosphere. And this is atmosphere, the same thing. When you have got different types of atmosphere model, so instead of going for the dynamic parameters of atmosphere, if you go for the stable versions of atmosphere, still you find that results are different. So there is a case that makes that atmosphere has to be precisely modeled for if you like to have your results which are very accurate and very high resolution. And if we like to conclude some of these atmosphere kind of things, we can find that visibility is one thing that actually affects. Visibility is nothing but is characterized by actually aerial optical techniques. So though on a day to let's say diurnal variation, you may not find out difference that drastically, but if it is by a place, so it changes a lot and it influences the kind of thing. And when you compare both the combination of these dynamic parameters as well as the stable atmospheric modeling, which is generated based on a lot of modeling data and observations of this vertical structure of atmosphere, you find that if you select an atmosphere model which is not specific to or sensitive to your region of data acquisition, you find that your results can be sometimes random. So there always a case where you need to look out for the kind of aerosol models and the kind of atmosphere model with reference to your image data and with reference to your geometry in the sense geography, in the sense geographic location of your data acquisition, which finally tells you how better are your corrections. And so some of the things, and I like to give a short demo of how this model and giving you how this can be played for different kind of atmosphere simulations and see what is the way forward in this case. So Sudhanshu?
Yes, sir.
Sudhanshu?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir.
Yeah, you can share.
Yes. Complete screen sharing option is not there.
There. You can share the screen.
1 minute. Okay, so maybe first I'm sharing this thing. So is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what we have made here as a IST DST project, and this is the FACT interface, GUI interface, where we have provided the input the path for input radiance image, and you have to specify the route. So I'm going to select one image as an example. That is a Landsat image, and we have to specify this. So I'm just giving one folder where the files have to be stored, and you have to select the sensor type, which is like a multispectral sensor. In that we have a series of sensors. We are just demonstrating for Landsat. So Aster, Sentinel, Worldview, list sensors, Pleiades, and even we have a facility for custom sensor that I will be demonstrating shortly. So in this case, we are selecting Landsat, and as sir mentioned, you have to give the geometrical parameters. These can be these are available, generally available from the sensor metadata information. I am just assuming some random numbers here, and we are not putting very precise angles. These can be obtained for the data from the metadata. So usually, if it's a nadir viewing, since it's a Landsat, if it's a nadir viewing, you can leave it 0, or you can give as per the metadata information. Here you have to put the date of acquisition. Say, let us, and then you have to give the surface elevation, like what is the MSL of that area. So assuming it to be 1 kilometers, and please make sure the units are maintained, like it's watt per steradian per micrometer and per meter square, and here the unit is kilometer. As in flash, we give one initial visibility estimate, and this will be calculated from the code in the background also. And as I mentioned, we have added 3 Indian specific atmospheric condition. Those are Indian wet, dry tropical, arid, and humid subtropical. You can refer to that from the PPT. So assuming Indian humid subtropical, or say wet, dry tropical, you just put the calibrate, click this button, and this will be corrected. So a visualization, I would like to show how this data looks after the correction. So some 10 seconds it took. It's a small scene, not a very big scene. So just a minute. So I would like to show how this data looks actually. So the data is okay. So if you see, this is our corrected data. Just a minute. So this is our corrected data. If you can see this data on your screen, this is what the correction data looks like. Okay. Additionally, what I said earlier, what we have is, we have an option to give a custom sensor. So for that, just a minute. Vibin, is entire screen sharing option not available?
Showing where now it is not showing. You are showing full entire screen only. You are showing. Now it is not coming.
No, means when I'm sharing particular app, is it sharing complete screen?
Yeah, full screen is coming. You are going to take folder like that. It is coming totally.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, so as I was mentioning that regionalization was told by sir. So we have 2 options. One is like in the profile, you can select here the specific. Otherwise, you have an option of a custom sensor. So assuming, suppose we have this data for a moment assume that we don't know anything about this data, the nature of data. We only have the sensor response function, SRF. Okay, so the SRF, if you have something like this, you need to have a Excel file like this where the SRF is given, sensor response function. If you might be aware of how the sensor responds in the which wavelength region. Okay, so if you have this kind of file, okay, so if you have this kind of a file, you can actually correct your customized sensor in the sense like new sensor. This is what is different in this case. As against like flash, you cannot have your own custom sensor based on SRF. Here we have included this option. So if I give this thing as a custom sensor, then it will ask for a SRF file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will give it a custom sensor, and with the same parameter I'm going to correct it. So it starts correcting.
Sudhanshu, hello.
Yeah.
We are just seeing that desktop, the like custom sensor template and Hyperion bands.
Okay.
That only we are seeing.
Okay. It is correcting. Actually, this is I don't know, but the entire screen option is not coming.
Okay. That
Should come actually.
That is actually not here, sir. I don't, because only specific app is coming. The entire screen option is not coming. So let me share this thing. So as you can see, it is correcting for a custom sensor. So as it does, in the meantime, I would like to just a small one more illustration. Many of you might be from atmospheric sciences. So if you want to study like particular parameters that you want to retrieve for a given atmosphere, so how to do that? So PY6S is one package, like a Python wrapper for 6S that was showed in the presentation. So what you can do is, if I execute this code, and you can have like atmosphere, some standard atmospheric profile as tropical. Given the wavelength, you can run your model and you can see like what is the pixel radiance. This is TOA radiance at the sensor. If you have to have more like complex parameterization, you can have that. Now, if you can see on my screen, you can have various parameters retrieved for a given input parameter, like what was the ground pressure, then what is the apparent reflectance, what is the gaseous transmittance, then what was the water vapor above the aerosol. So a number of parameters you can actually retrieve. What was the direct solar irradiance, what was the diffuse solar irradiance. So for your atmospheric related study, you can actually use this PY6S that can be used for a different parameter retrieval. So I think in the meantime, our model got corrected for the custom sensor, as you can see. So this module is available at IIST. You can put up a request, and upon the request, we can make this available for your use and for your evaluation. A detailed installation instruction and what does the parameter due to the paucity of time. I may not be able to explain all the parameters how to obtain that, but it is there in the manual that you can that is supplied with this module. So we are open to any kind of questions also, and this can be via IST. You can obtain this module. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so now we come back to the interactive thing. Any questions?
So we have question from Praveen. What does view zenith of 5 degree mean?
5 degree. See, what is actually zenith? That's what I put in the chat box. It starts in the sense in this model. It starts from, let us say, from the horizon. We consider horizon and the satellite both at the same place. Okay. So when you look at this zenith, it is the angle made by relative to your normal. Okay, view relative normal. So if it is 0, where you will be? It is in the mid. Okay, mid noon or overhead. If it is 5 degree, little away from the noon, let's say mid. If it is 10, 20, going on towards zenith. Okay, what happens is that you can see that different satellites have different geometrical orientation depending upon their orbital and other characteristics. They view surfaces at different zenith. So with respect to the source and the sense sun, the satellite view, that is the important thing. So view is the satellite's positional geometry that gives you where in the atmosphere, what is the direction of look of your satellite with respect to your surface. So if it is just overhead, 100% added, okay, so you consider 0. As you go away, so what happens is it indicates an obliqueness and finally giving you a kind of path which is longer, which is inclined, and which increases the effects of your terrain and your other anisotropic nature of your neighborhood. So to give an ability to develop different satellites to be supported by this particular platform, in the sense modeling platform, we will be correct. We will be giving a view of, let's say, every few degrees. So if your satellite view is, let's say, 20 degrees, if the model is not supporting, then you may not be able to get good quality correction for that. So when you like to have, modeling should always be over a wide region such that different kind of sensors can be accommodated within the model. So that is the interval. So if some satellites angle is just, let's say, to 5.5, whereas we have taken an interval of 5 degrees. So if the difference is only half, then perhaps that is not going to be counted. So that is the interval you like to have. So if it is lesser, it's more finer. But even lesser of one interval makes you computations of several millions. So you will have to see what is the model computation requirement that you make it. And if you like to increase by one factor, let's say spectral resolution by half nanometer or one interval, and the interval of, let's say, 5 becomes 2.5, then perhaps you need to run your computer for, let's say, some 5 days more. So to get the computational solution of your transfer model and to get the correction factor required as a standard modeling condition. So that is the condition which I tried making. Yeah.
Sir, here,
Yeah.
is it possible to account for abnormal weather events? Like, don't we need to tweak the computational parameters in such cases?
Yes, that is what I indicated in the sense, for example, assume that a wildfire, a forest fire or bushfires in Australia and California, this kind of very mega event, or even volcanic eruptions. Okay, luckily India does not have those kind of volcanic, but you find that lot of fires, biomass burning, or even forest fires, are these kind of events which are very big to alter for some days local atmosphere. So if you get to hold data related to that, in the sense what actually these events have their footprints in atmosphere is the loading of all this particular matter, be it aerosols, right? And temporary change of atmosphere in the sense kind of water vapor and temperature. So if you are able to get that data which are transient to that particular event, then the modeling base that we have kept in this particular architecture supposed to infer in the sense to ingest data from an additional data source. So then in that case, what's going to happen is that you are giving data from a different source, which is going to use it to fine tune the atmosphere model that is at that particular limit of time and apply the correction factor. So inherently the structure is there. So, but what I suggest is that you need to ingest the data such that the model has to again rerun for retrieving the factor. So it may take a day like that. So what is the meaning of Motron based atmospheric correction? Actually, Motron is a computer model. If you see, you would have seen a lot of references as well as lectures in this particular. You have seen the radiator transfer modeling of this atmosphere is a thing. So that is a theoretical perspective. Radiator transfer is a theoretical way of quantifying everything, how the radiation interacts with the atmosphere in the same different particular matter at different levels of atmosphere layers and all such kind of thing. So that is a very good theoretical treatment. So how to implement it? How to implement it in a computational perspective is the question. So that was solved in the 1960s and early 70s by making a computer course of the radiator transfer theories using Fortran. So this Motron is nothing but Fortran. So computational implementation of Fortran based computational implementation of radiator transfer theory considering the resolution of your model. So model resolution transmission spectrum computation of radiator transfer theory, that is called Motron. So for example, it made a computation of this radiator transfer theory considering the spectra of spectral resolution ranging from, let's say, UV until infrared, and the resolution that it offered is about 0.2 nanometers. So even if you see the present remote sensing satellites, the best resolution that you can get is not more than 5 nanometers. But the solutions of these computation models have been there for even 0.2 nanometer during 1960s. As the implementation takes time, but theoretical predictions and the simulations can be much advanced in time than the practical thing. So Motron is one patented product made by this US Air Force, and that is the, let us say, brain behind every global remote sensing data simulation of this atmosphere. So you find flash and anything, that is nothing but this atmospheric correction modeling using radio transfer theory as coded by the Fortran, and which is a patented one. And as I mentioned, that is a patented one. So if you like to use Motron based atmospheric correction, then you need to pay for those people. So because they made it commercialized, it is still, though it is several decades after it developed, still it is that. And an alternative, as I mentioned, there is an open source radiator transfer implementation of the same thing that we started with the different versions. Say, it is again European based model, 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, now it is 6S is the name, but it is again an open source model, radiator transfer implementation. And the difference is that computations are done on pixel basis. So if you like to directly use those models, you can correct your data, but only problem is that it goes the computation by pixel. So if you have 1 million pixels, if each computation takes, let's say, 2 seconds, so 1 million into 2 seconds, that much time you need to wait. So most of the development that you can see, including our own development, is such that how do you optimize the performances, computations and support in a time such that your application time cannot be order of several months and years, but order of only few seconds to minutes. So that is the complexity of this computation challenge.
So we have one more question
Yeah.
from Samyukta. Aerosol corrections was done directly by NRSC. Generally, when you get the data, we just stack it and do classification.
No, that is a false impression. Most of our emotional people think that they do. Nobody does actually. Because as you can see, atmospheric correction is an intensive process. It is not something like a standard geometrical processes, certain radiometric normalization which are done at sensor level. Atmosphere is a user level and product level process, which would not be done by any data vendor, including atmosphere, let's say NRSC or NASA, nobody does. They do to certain level, okay? As I mentioned, if you are going to use the data of Sentinel, you feel that Sentinel uses certain kind of atmosphere corrector. But as I mentioned, if it is say urban is not something like we compare urban of India with urban of global level thing. Similarly, you cannot say tropical. Tropical is so huge that even the Latin America comes some part of it tropical, but atmosphere is quite different there and here, right? They give certain kind of products which are generalized at some level. So those are good for global level kind of comparison. So if you like to use for a kind of classification which are very high resolution and regional application specific, it cannot be assumed. So you need to do it if you are using multiple images. If you are going to compare results for multiple images, you will have to use the models that you will be doing that. Nobody does that.
No more questions.
Yeah. Right then. So we are done.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We have got very nice comments in the comment section. Sir, there is a small announcement for the participants. They have a feedback form to fill in
Now itself.
on the AICT platform now itself. On the
So-
AICT website. Yes, sir, you can come.
Yeah. So kindly log into the same site where you have applied the portal, and please fill the feedback from there. The feedback, and you kindly fill it because your test will be taken only once you fill this thing. And will not able to enter your test marks unless otherwise you complete it before this feedback lesson. So kindly do it. If any issues, you can take our opinion. That's right. And yes, so we'll be back again. So we'll wait for some more time and let them fill that particular thing, and we can break then. Is that okay, Jayati?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, please.
Hello.
Yes, listening.
Sir, on which platform you will share the link for the test?
Feedback, you have to log into the AICTE portal.
Yeah, okay, sir. I will fill the AICTE portal. I know. In that, there is a one box to fill that feedback. Now, I am asking about the test. On which platform you will send the link for the test?
Next, we'll be sending in the actual chat box only. We'll be giving the Google Form link in the chat box at 2 o'clock.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So we will be sending there, then and there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is to request
Yeah,
that
please.
you share the quiz in the email as well as through the chat box, through both of the links, through the email as well as through the chat box.
Yeah, we'll do that. In fact, clicking from chat box is direct. In fact, once you click, it will take you to the form. It will open it, and you will be able to see that.
Okay.
That's right.
So after filling up this after going through the AICTE portal, we have to feedback. We have to submit our feedback,
Yes,
and
sir.
after that the session is over.
Yes, after that, this presentation is good to be over.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Ramarao, there is one more talk in the afternoon, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
RP Singh.
Yeah, this session, what I mean, my presentation.
Okay. Okay.